Hey Bobby, how you doing, buddy? Oh, can you hear me?
Doing good. Just working with this one today.
Oh man, how old is that one?
6 months.
Oh man. So, sleeping through the night yet?
No, she's just waking up to feed and then go back to sleep.
Nice. Well, hey, that's not bad, dude. That could be so much worse.
Yeah.
So, but that's great, man. What's going on in your world?
I start back up my full time on Monday. The Air
Ooh,
Force.
you ready for that?
Yeah, I am. I'm at a computer all day, so it works out for me too.
Fair.
And
Fair
then
enough.
we got a handful of projects going on right now with you guys.
Dude, you're staying busy. I don't know how you got enough time to underwrite all that stuff.
Quick numbers. I actually we're doing the Boulevard flip right now, and what's it called? The the lender that I'm using, his wife's an agent. She's walking another one on Boulevard tomorrow that she has to
Is that the one
under
that's a
contract with.
triplex?
What?
Is that the one that's a triplex?
No.
Okay.
I wish
There's
it was.
one on the market on Boulevard that's a couple down from yours, I think. That there are two blocks down that somebody is asking us to take a look at that's triplex.
Oh, damn. I
Um
wish.
it might be worth checking out, dude. It's on market.
Yeah, I'm actually going on Zillow right now to look.
Let me pull the address for you.
I
Um
uh I actually just I've been talking to lenders and I just got another one to kind of agree on a 100% financing rehab purchase for 2 points.
that's not bad. That's not bad at
Uh,
all.
but right now I'm paying
Um
4 points, but it's 100% purchase and rehab, so it works out.
yeah. All right, Bobby, I just sent you the address. Hey Andrew, how you doing, buddy?
Hey Nick, doing
Happy
good.
Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy
I mean, hey,
Friday.
I recognize those rooms.
Yeah,
How are
I
things going there at Meta?
um the same old, always chaos and but I guess slightly coming out of that tunnel, uh
Yeah.
being more light given I think like there were a lot of changes that happened over the past year, and then
Well, it
yeah.
feels like the shift to AI was a smart one. I'll actually say, dude, like I now kind of want the new glasses that you guys have. Like I think that's such a cool like direction. Like the meta thing I thought was or the metaverse thing was kind of a folly, but in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, what's your take on all that stuff?
I actually don't. I'm not too close to the Reality Lab site. I know you're like Reality Lab sales, so you probably know more than I do.
I lived in
Uh,
that world for a while.
yeah, so you probably know more than I do, but I always thought that, like based on what I'm hearing, it's like 5, 10 years type thing. Was in offsite in New York last week, and then like product manager was like, we'll probably see it in like 2030, the meta.
2030.
Yeah, 2030.
Wow.
That's what our product manager said. And then he was like, but then it's like going to be audio first or something related to the glasses. So I don't know, who knows? Yeah, I'm like on the ad side, so it's like,
Yeah.
more 1 to 3 year time frame type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Remind me what team you're on?
I'm on like biz ops, so like strategy and operations, but like I partner with the like partnerships teams who help the partnerships teams who manage partners that help the advertisers sell ads. So like
Gotcha.
yeah, so like Shopify, um measurement partners like AppsFlyer, messaging partners, and
Yeah.
so on. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, or like strategic partners, like Salesforce, Telium, Zapier, yeah,
Yeah.
Twilio, yeah,
Nice. Okay. I gotcha.
yeah. Hey
Nice. So
Bobby.
what's going on in your world? It's been a while since we caught up.
Oh, me, yeah. So in my world, there was like the near East Side property that you guys finished in a month. Uh, that
Yeah,
was yeah,
a little bit more fun when it's that way.
yeah, definitely. But then, it's been on the market for long-term rent since like middle of December.
Who's renting it for you?
Marty.
Okay.
So, but then it's
What's
been
his
really
feedback?
slow. Yeah, it's been really slow. Like, it's been really slow. And then, his initial feedback was that it's not a great neighborhood. He's like, there's like
Okay.
a area of high crime, like a couple of streets above.
Okay.
So I don't know, but then basically it was at I mean it was like at 1,008 and then we reduced it to 1,006 and there have been viewings but like no one has bitten yet. So I guess just
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I mean, winter is the worst time to be renting.
yeah,
So kind of going into spring is not a bad thing.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that one went fast. That was a relatively small rehab though, if I remember correctly. I don't
Yeah,
know off the top of my head. It's like
yeah, it
20?
was no, I think it was like 40
Oh, was it
45
45? Okay.
50.
But it was mostly cosmetic.
Yeah,
Like
it's
there
like
wasn't a whole lot of
yeah,
yeah.
it's just like flooring, new wiring, a
Yeah.
bunch of lights, yeah, that kind of stuff. Like out the siding. Oh wait, actually not even siding. But yeah. It was like in that 40 50
Yeah.
range. Yeah,
Well, I'm
so
sorry to hear that it's taken a minute there.
yeah.
Marty, I talked to Marty today about one of our vacancies, and he kind of did the same thing. We've got a higher end one, we were trying to go to 1,800, and he asked us to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but I don't know. Like I don't know how I feel about all those like East Side neighborhoods anymore because yeah, I don't know. Just because I thought that like Rivoli Park is like pretty decent given that it's like so close to downtown like Bottle Works and all, but I guess if you're east of rural, it's not great. Like I guess you always want to be like west of rural. I don't know.
I'm less familiar with that particular little pocket.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, it's definitely not a bad area by any means.
Yeah, it's not bad. So that and the house is huge. So that's why I'm like having a hard time like,
Well,
you know.
you are going for a relatively high dollar amount for a what we know is kind of, we can argue whether it's a C, whether it's a C plus, whether it's a B minus. Like we know
Yeah,
it's somewhere in the B
easy.
minus to C plus, yeah, C area in that general range.
Yeah.
And so you are kind of trying to find the person who wants the larger unit, and is willing to pay a little bit more for that larger unit. So it's a little bit, a 2-1 every little couple in the entire city is a potential tenant. When you're talking about a 1,800 $1,800 rental, then you've got, a more constrained base.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, you know, yeah, so I guess that's the struggle, right? Because so many folks are like, yeah, it's better to like do it up so that's at least a 3-2 because the house is gonna be worth more. You have like more buyers, but I guess from the renter point of view, it's actually the opposite because the renter kind of wants there's more demand for 2-1s than 3-2s.
Yes, and
Like you probably get someone to buy it faster, but obviously they'll pay a lot lower.
What about
what do
taking a
you
three
mean?
one and turn it into a 2-2?
Huh?
I don't. So I don't like getting down below 3 bedrooms.
Yeah,
There have been situations where I've gone from a 4-1 to a 3-2, and but that third bedroom,
I
there's
think it's key to
value.
have. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I call the mother-in-law room. And so yeah, it's a tough one. There are pros and cons to kind of all the different like, layouts and situations.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I've heard, I asked Flora like what she thought. She thought the layout was kind of funky. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was that funky of a layout. Like the space is huge. Like it's like over 3,000 square feet.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's why I'm kind of surprised. Like, I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't gone yet. But I don't know, maybe it's like the neighborhood isn't good. yeah, maybe like the schools aren't good. Like I don't know who's like a tenant who I don't know who's like the target market who would get like a, because it's like 3-2 with a bonus room, so it's effectively a
It's like a
4-2.
4-2.
Yeah, it's like a
It's
4
almost
3,000 square feet, like for 1,000.
3,000 square feet. I
Yeah,
don't think I realized it was that huge.
yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
Damn.
three levels. So I mean, I thought that the square footage would have been important, but I guess, when I was buying it, but I didn't think, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like, maybe we just haven't found the right tenant because it's like a small pool.
Yeah.
3,000 is
Uh,
pretty big for a rental.
Yeah.
yeah. So what, I mean, has Marty considered doing anything? Like, I kind of, my objective would be to get somebody in there at the
Yeah.
highest rent possible, obviously. Like that it's likely to pay. Would he be open to potentially doing like, hey, a free month, like for hey, move in February and the first month's free kind of thing? And the reason you do that versus discounting that $100 a month over the course of 12 months is that the higher rent is sticky for the
It's
next lease up.
it's hard to increase the rent by like 20%. It's easier to,
Exactly. So if you do free month or something like that, then it's effectively the same for the year, but it's for year two, it's a whole lot better.
yeah.
Can
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
help on the refi, have a better
Yes.
DSCR.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally.
So
Yeah.
Andrew, you've obviously met Brett. Bobby, have you met Brett yet?
No, I haven't.
So
Hey, good to
Brett's,
see you,
my
Andrew.
business partner. We do a lot of, kind of a lot of stuff together. I actually want Bobby, you and Brett to talk during this at some point,
Okay.
about the hard money lending that you're getting, because Brett actually does hard money lending as well. And so he just needs to know what he's competing against.
Okay.
But
Let's do
we'll
it.
close the loop here on Andrew's property,
Yeah.
before
Hey,
we do
Bobby.
that.
I think you were the one who commented on the chat earlier about you said that it was in the Senate, right? I think that was you.
Yeah, it has to go past the Senate, then the president can sign off if it's going to be a bill or not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a few
That's
things because there's that, the child tax credits in there too. That's another big one. A lot of people are watching.
really.
Just
Yeah,
stay
wait,
on top of a lot of that.
what's going on with that one? That's very relevant here for new parents, me and Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and me.
There we go.
So, yeah, I think they're trying to see on what you can claim and if they're going to increase the amount that you can claim for your children. It might go up a little bit, it might go down, but I think it's a big win for a lot of areas, and those are two of the big ones I know a lot of people are tracking.
Nice. Good stuff.
So Bobby, I know you're doing a bunch of the hard money stuff right now. What are the general terms you're seeing?
So the lenders that I'm using, and I was just telling Nick that I just pretty much, what is it? Strong armed another lender to give me better terms. So I'm getting, assuming I'm 70% all in. They're giving me 100% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab, but it's costing me 4 points. So not terrible because I don't have to bring any cash to close really, besides the 4 points and then closing costs. I just talked to another lender that I was given from one of my other contacts over in Indy as another guy that they were doing 90% purchase, 100% rehab for 2 points. And this is the best rate I've ever heard on hard money. It was 6.75, which is, yeah, see, it's unheard of.
That's astounding. Oh my
So I
God.
told them, I was pretty much answered back to him. I was like, hey, that's nice, but what I'm getting right now is 100% purchase and rehab. And then I said, if you can do that, if you can match that and give me 2 points, I'll give you my business. And that pretty much statement right there, which I can come in and I told him, like, I'm done. This will be my third closing next week this year. So like I'm looking to close properties left and right. And I'm happy to give you the business. And his response like 2 hours later was, I just got off the phone with my underwriting team and we can match those terms with 2 points.
Hey,
So
Bobby, when
if
you're
I can
saying,
get 100% on the purchase, what's up?
oh yeah, when you were saying the 100% purchase and 100% rehab, and you said 4
Yeah,
points, what was the rate on that?
yeah. It's 12.99, which I would say 11 to 13 is pretty standard for hard money. I don't think I've ever heard anything under 10, to be honest, until
No.
he sent me
No.
that. So
That is absolutely stunning, especially with only 2 points. Wow.
right, and it's where it works out even better for me because I have a few rehabs coming up actually with Nick's team, with you guys' team over there. Rehab these quick 5 weeks and then turn around and refinance them. Because those two are going to be rentals. When I'm doing that, it's just like the points really start adding up because you're doing a short project. So if I can get 2 points versus 4, I mean, now that's bringing me in 3 projects that would have normally cost me 12 points. It's now I can get 6 projects for 12 points. So if I can get the deal at the purchase price and rehab cost that I need to, I have no problem leaving money in on the back end, whether it's 5 or 10 grand. It's getting the deal first. So the less cash to close I can come to the table with, the more deals I can get under contract and keep going. To
Bobby,
further that, go ahead.
No, on the back end, are you going into DSCR loans?
Yeah. So, and I'm leaving 20 to 25% in. When I can leave 20, when I can pull out 80% LTV, it works out even better because I'm getting the deal for 70% LTV. So if I can refi 80, if the appraisal comes back low, I have that 10% wiggle room. If it comes back as projected or higher, there's likely good chance I'm going to pull some money out of that deal.
Are you sure they're going to let you cash out at 80%? I'd be shocked if many of these guys let you cash out at 80.
So the ones that I've used for the last project, or the project that I just closed recently for Boulevard, and the one that I'm closing on Elm Tree next, they said that I could pull out 80 because I have the experience.
So
And I don't.
you said this, they said you could pull out 80 or that they would loan up to 80. And the reason I'm being pedantic
Yeah.
there, it's an important distinction, is essentially what a lot of these guys do is they'll do, like a rate and term, essentially converting that into a DSCR. But to do the cash out, they oftentimes will lower the LTV.
Right. So what I told him, I said, how much can I refinance out on the back end? And he said 80% LTV is what I got. So I don't know which way that answers your question in my head, but
I don't think it does answer the question. It leaves ambiguity.
Right.
With that terminology, it leaves ambiguity. But regardless, even if it's 75%, you're quite happy.
Right, because if I have to leave, like I said, 5,000-10,000 in the deal, that's perfectly fine. I have 25% equity in it. It's a rental probably for me. And yeah, hopefully it's cash flowing, leaving that much in, just all that. But now I'm gonna figure out if when I refinance, can I cash out 80%? I'm gonna ask him that actually when I talk to him.
Yeah, I would just distinguish that and just make sure that you can do the cash out of 80 and not just the refi of 80.
Right. And then to further all of those efforts is I'm big into credit card hacking. So right now I have 2 credit cards that are both 0% interest for the next 12 months. And I just moved all of my Chase over to one Chase card, and American Express. I have it on one card right now. I have about 100,000 access to. On 2 credit cards, 50 grand on each, just about at 0% interest for the next 12 months. So that's how I'm paying for the rehabs. And then the hard money lender funds me. I pay off the credit card. I'll get all the points. And then, yeah, I just finished my last round of 12 months. So I had to apply for new cards.
Nice, dude. I love it. I love it. You're a hacker.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get a bunch this year, like I told you.
Why is this year important?
I think now because I have the team in place, you guys, to help get to that. And then to further that, I have 2 years left on my contract. So if I can replace that income, essentially, that gives me more options to decide if I want to stay in or get out. For me to replace that income right now in 2 years, it's probably going to be about $8 grand a month I would need to be making.
Fair enough.
So
I like that. Cool. Oh no, dude. All right. So here's what I know. Whenever I'm getting a phone call from a 626 number, I know that's going to be spam 100% of the time. I've got a 626 number, but I live in Indianapolis. Nobody I know is calling me from Pasadena. That's not going to be good. Or if it's my family, then I definitely don't want to pick it up. But yeah, what else is going on, guys? I've been talking about short-term rentals a lot recently. It's been a hot topic. I was on the TNH podcast. If you guys aren't subscribed to that one, it's actually a really good podcast. They're property managers here in Indy. can't speak to how good of a property manager they are. I can say Jeremy's a super nice guy, super smart guy, really good interviewer. Was on his podcast the other day. I'm actually like a co-host on a podcast with a couple other guys. Where it's just an excuse to drink, I think. And we talked about short term yesterday. Tyler Lingle is actually he's a really good agent. I really like Tyler a lot. He's starting up a short term property management company. And then obviously we had the roundtable there a little bit ago. So I can talk more short term. I can talk long term. I can talk renovate. I'm actually going to be on a podcast next week on contracting and stuff like that.
Oh, actually, oh, Nick, I know you're a big fan of Tyler Lingle, but have you used Tyler Lingle as a broker in as a broker before, or like, I guess like what in
So I
particular?
haven't personally used him. Now I'm in always a rough position when I'm giving recommendations because I can't not use Bo Matlock. And the reason for that is, and to be clear, I don't think Bo's the right agent for a lot of people. He's not the right agent for most people, actually. But I can't not use him for or his dad for property management because they backfilled me when my last property manager went bad on me, and when that happened to me in the past, the broker basically told me to go screw myself, and I'm still suing them today. Whereas what happened in this situation under Marty and Bo is they basically made us all whole, and so for that reason, I will never use anybody else until they tell me they don't want my business anymore, or they acted unethically in some way. And so because they were so loyal to me, they were so good to me in that situation, I can never go elsewhere. With that in mind, I know Tyler really well. I've actually told him this, like, hey, if I was starting from scratch, I would definitely be throwing business your way, but like I have to be loyal in this situation. Um, I have seen the way he interacts with people. I've seen and his clients, and I've seen the way his team, specifically Max Moore, interacts with their clients, and I am in awe of their hustle, their go get 'em attitude. So I've never personally used them, but many of our clients have, and I've been happy with how they've been treated. Have you had a different experience or seen something different?
Yeah, so yeah, I reached out to Tyler, and then I reached out to Max, and then so, actually the first time that I was in Indy, and we met up and everything, met up with Max and all that. And yeah, he wasn't really like super prepared, he wasn't really super prepared, but maybe it was just
Mm.
because like they had the whole like they had their happy hour going on where you were the speaker. So yeah,
You were there. I forgot about that.
yeah, and then and then in the end he ended up having someone on his team, like Julius on his team. And so I ended up talking to Julius, but Julius is like a lot more greenhorn. And so yeah,
That's the podcast I'm on next week. Is his podcast?
oh, Julius's podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, no, like Max has sent stuff over, but it's like, a lot of it is like a lot more turnkey, and like, a lot more turnkey, and like, I don't know. Yeah, just hasn't really I don't know, hasn't really gone anywhere.
Here's
Do you have any thoughts on
I
how to?
haven't found many agents that are
Yeah.
really the deal finders. At least in my experience, it's usually I've been mostly the deal finder, with exceptions, with every agent I've worked with in the last 7 years that I've been doing this. And I have kind of brought the deals, and they have been a validation of my numbers in addition to a transaction coordinator. I'm sure there are exceptions. I'm sure there are agents who are kind of chasers a little bit. Um, but I think those are few and far between. And with
Oh,
that said, I actually 100% agree with what you're saying about Max. That guy's not a salesman. Um, I actually think he's one of uh, the worst gaps between how he comes off and the amount of intelligence that's behind the scenes.
Right.
Like that guy, like once you're like kind of get him out of his shell, he's very kind of awkward's not the right term, but he's an introvert. He kind of lives in his own world. And like he doesn't come off nearly with the level of intelligence that he actually has. I mean, Lauren can attest to that. Max Moore, he's somebody who you deal with a decent amount on your side, I assume. Like
I
that,
do. I
how would you
I think
describe him from
regularly.
like an intelligence perspective?
Oh, he's wicked smart. Actually, just talking to not the meeting I just hopped off of, but the one that I had before that, in between Nick's picks and this, I was just talking to one of his clients who got snubbed on a couple of things and was talking about how he was walking through it and was working with him on the numbers and like finding things that he didn't even think of. He's like incredibly intelligent. His communication style is a little weird. I personally think.
Yeah.
Um,
It's funny
you say that?
you jumped in as we were talking about it, and I was saying that there's a huge gap between the level of intelligence and how he comes off.
Yeah.
He's an
Okay.
awkward dude.
I'm glad I
Like,
wasn't the only one that thought that. Like a couple times I've been like,
yeah,
Got it.
not
Okay.
getting the social response I would have expected.
Got it. Okay,
yes.
yeah. Maybe I should, yeah, no, I think I'll definitely follow up with him. I guess, do you, I guess like, what, no, because I think like in the past, like I've sent him a bunch of stuff and then, yeah, then I haven't sent him a bunch of stuff for a while. But I guess like after sending all this stuff, like, I guess you kind of use him to validate like what the ARV would be or like, what he thinks of the neighborhood, what he thinks of the
Yeah.
rental, that that kind of stuff, or as opposed to just like going directly to the seller agent. Yeah, I guess like, like what I guess like what would you use him for besides being a transaction coordinator?
So here's what I'll say. That guy actually understands construction. What's funny is we deal we deal with a lot of agents who have been screwed by contractors or had their clients screwed by contractors. Like that's just basically our day to day is like agents, we walk it and they're all like not willing to share anything with us. They're very like they want to keep us at arm's distance, which I get, like I totally understand. What I'll say is he's one of those guys that walks into a property. Paul, we're talking about Max. He's somebody who walks into a property and actually understands what needs to be done with the house. Not just like he's one of these guys that actually understands the contracting end. He can't do the contracting, but he understands it and understands when somebody's getting railroaded. So what would I use him for? I would if I identified a property that I was interested in digitally. I would look through photos. I would have an idea of what I thought the rehab was going to look like. I probably wouldn't tell him the number that I thought the rehab was going to come in. I'd send him in there and I'd say, hey, these are some of the comps that I'm looking at. Do you agree with the comps? Are these valid comps? Okay, great. They're valid comps for XYZ reason. Oh, this one's not valid because it's below 38th and mine's above 38. Great. Okay. Right. This side of rural, that side of rural. To identify the comps. Great. So we've kind of established this is what we think our number is going to be when it's all said and done. Are you willing to go out there, take a video, and tell me what work you think needs to be done? And if you can help guesstimate or get a contractor out there, help me out. And so that's what I would do if I was working with Max. But expecting them to come to you with a whole lot of deals is tough. But if you're kind of dispatching them to go be your boots on the ground from a transaction perspective, I would say that's where agents are best worked with.
Yeah, no, totally. No, totally. Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Paul, would you agree with kind of that? Actually, here, you weren't here for most of that conversation. How would you describe Max?
Man, way to put me in a spot.
We already both
I've been-
answered.
I've been honest.
Very quiet. He's not outgoing, but he knows his stuff.
Hey, see,
Paul
we're all
said
in-
it nicer than we did.
yeah, he did say it way nicer than we did. Who would have thought he was the one that was most polished on the sales
I
side?
don't know.
I like Max. I think he's a
I
good
do
guy.
too.
I think he's very forward, and he tells you what you need to hear, and that's it. Or, you know, what you need to do with the property, not what you need to hear, but what you need to do, and he moves on. He doesn't, you know, pressure you to do anything silly.
Got it. Sounds good. Yeah. I think I probably need to contact him again. Um,
I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
Don't get pawned off on Julius. I like Julius. I think he's a nice guy, but I wouldn't get pawned off.
oh, right. Okay, yeah, I'll just message Max directly. And actually the next question was for Brett around the you know, the loan business. I guess like, like what was the motivation and how's that going?
Yeah, no, good question. Two fronts, I'd say, in the motivation. First, my experience with loans has all been from the investor side. I like learning. I like learning new things, and getting to see this from the other side has helped me learn it just much, much better than I would have ever before. So, it's been a pretty cool process. The other is I like working with my friends, and a good friend approached me about this and, wanted to work together. So pulled me in on it, and we got this company started. So just enjoying working with him right now. Andrew, when are you
And
bringing me a
honestly, he
deal,
just
man?
wanted to be able to underwrite his own deals better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
now
I will. I don't know what your rates are, but I'll definitely set up some time to compare the rates because to
Yeah,
compare rates. So I'll set up time.
yeah, man. Happy to talk it through. And worst case, I can maybe provide you a quote you can use to shop it elsewhere, but happy to help.
Amazing. And you
Um,
do like the full spectrum, right? Like the hard money, the
yeah.
DSCR.
So we do hard money and then 30-year DSCR with a lot of options on the 30-year DSCR. We can do fixed, we can do variable with interest only periods on the front end too. So a lot of ways to take it.
Sounds good. I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but Nick's right. Mostly just so I can loan to myself. It's great.
Pretty much. I've been trying to get him to give me some 0% loans. He just won't do it.
Uh, I don't like Nick that much. What can I say?
No.
Gotta
Actually,
get
yeah,
Bobby to negotiate, man. Apparently
Yeah,
he's
shit, man. I gotta get Bobby to negotiate on my behalf on all this stuff.
6%. Oh my God. I bankrupt these guys.
No kidding.
Bankrupt them and keep Paul busy and Lauren.
Hey,
Paul already is busy, man. Like that guy, I don't think he sleeps
What about
anymore.
me?
You're fine.
You know what? I was thinking about this. I'm gonna start sharing my calendar with you too.
oh boy.
I don't
And-
need to see another calendar.
And it sounds like Bobby's been doing a lot. So, how did everyone how did you meet Bobby, how did you meet the crew? Or
Yeah, Bobby, why don't you give that story?
I actually saw a comment from Evan saying on something, somebody asked for rehab, and he commented Nick's name and said Nick's doing some crazy stuff over at Off Leash or something like that. And then I reached out to Nick and we had a conversation. I think he was actually inside one of his Airbnbs fixing it up when he
Oh,
spoke.
was I?
Yeah.
You were in Minty.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, Bobby, how honest can I be about a little bit about like Paragon?
All right. You can take that.
All right, so this was a situation where there was, I think, and again, I don't know all the details, but there was a bad contractor, bad, maybe less than honest, representation of what rehabs were going to look like. And we honestly don't do a lot down in that particular area. We do some down more in the Bloomington area. So Paragon's a little bit outside of our normal, zone, but we saw Bobby was kind of in a little bit of a bad spot, and we're like, all right, screw it. Like we're gonna extend our teams. We'll get him out there. And can I say we've done a perfect job on that project? Absolutely not. But I think we've done a decent job of kind of scooping that one up a little bit. And I think us helping in that situation has shown, hey, what we're willing to do. We're willing to kind of go the extra mile to do the right thing and try and help people. But yeah, Evan was great. to us from a like putting his name on what we're doing. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and
Also,
then
I'm actually
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for it.
go
go
ahead,
back.
Lauren.
I was just gonna say, speak for yourself. Paul found an extra bathroom in that in that house.
Yeah.
So, I think it looks pretty dang good. But we
It's gonna
should
be the
get it
nicest house
together
in
the next.
Paragon.
Yeah, it is gonna be the
So-
nicest house in Paragon,
So I
for
want you
sure.
to know, over the holidays, I was in California, in Southern California, walking around with my family, and our joke in the team is always like, "Oh, Paul will find an extra half bath there. Paul will find an extra bath there." Like it's always our joke because we analyze a deal at least every morning, and I'm walking around with Diane and Bailey. And I'm walking through this nice neighborhood, and out front there's a Porto, and I just take a photo of it, and I was like, "This is how Paul finds his extra half baths." I was cracking up. I made myself laugh in that moment.
So Andrew and Bobby, I always give Paul a hard time because anytime I get a call from Paul, I know it's going to cost me money. So I've always been like, Paul, why do you never like call me and tell me you found 10 grand, in the middle of my house or anything like that? But I will say one time we got into the project and all of a sudden he calls and he's like, "Hey, I got this idea. We can add a master suite. We can get a new full bath here." He probably found us 30 grand or more. So, it wasn't quite a stack of cash, but it was the next best thing.
I mean,
You
you did
found
get
me
a
a
stack
car.
of cash. You have gotten a stack of cash.
Yeah.
Whether you can use it or not, I don't know, but you did get a stack of cash.
I did get a stack of fake cash for Christmas.
Wait, so
And
what
he-
ended up happening with the car? Hold on, I want to
Still
know
there.
what happened with the car. Oh, is it still
Still
there?
there.
Yeah, we got to get it
So-
out.
I mean,
Like I think
fine.
there's something to, and again, I don't quote me on this, but like there's something to if it's been parked and abandoned on your property for 30 days or something along those lines, you're able to go in there and rekey that thing, and like yes, register it, and then yes, it is yours. This
We
has
don't-
happened to me twice now. This has happened to me
Yeah.
twice in my career that I have had cars that actually in the same house. It's happened to me twice in the same house that I've gotten a car. So do with that what you will.
I think Evan wants it if he can rekey it.
Yeah.
Listen, I told him, I said, if you can get it out of there, more power to you. Because I'm like, how the hell am I gonna get this car out of here?
Is it just like in an enclosed backyard, or what's the deal?
It's well, the garage is all boarded up, and the backside, um, it's lower than the garage is the dirt is a little lower than the lip, and I'm like, there's just no way we're pushing this out of here. I guess Lauren said I really showed my, when I was doing the whole video thing.
I cracked up. That was one of my favorite Paul moments when he just is like looking at the camera and he's like, "Yeah," and then he like flips the thing and then he just goes like this and goes, "I found you a car," but you could hear in his voice that he was like, "This fucking car." Like,
Is that
Well-
is that how you hurt your back, Paul? Were you trying to push the car?
No.
We are looking for new and
No, he
innovative
was sitting in
ways
a
to
chair.
serve Paul and make his life more difficult. So this is a good one. Pretty proud of us as a group.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I feel like calling the chop shop and be like, here, take it out in pieces.
But also Andrew, to speak to Bobby's negotiating skills, since Paragon, you've purchased what? Almost 4 houses, all currently.
Yeah.
3 under construction currently, and 1 that's upcoming in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
What has been the top thing that you've learned, Bobby? Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
What has been the, like any learnings, like the thing that you think worked the best, what didn't work as well?
I would say trying to learn the rehab costs a little bit more. Actually, you don't have to have somebody walk it, especially if you don't have if you think it's going to be 30 grand, and I can tell you looking at pictures it's going to be at least 70. So wasting time sending somebody there. So like I'll send Lauren some and just say, what are your thoughts on this? And then I can kind of see, like, I already know I'm seeing about 65 grand, and she might say, oh, I see 70, but at least I'm not at 30. So I'm learning a lot more
Well,
of
and here's
those
what
where,
I'll say.
yeah.
Just to that end, there's a big gap between how people view a property. Um, and Lauren's been, I'm not going to say names, Lauren, but there's a property she's been looking at that realistically we think probably needs about $115,000 worth of work. And I don't even know what the final number is, but Lauren is telling me that we're going to end up, helping this guy be a slumlord. So like
Kills
a
me.
lot of times, what do you think the final number is going to be on that?
Oh, what we're actually gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, if they actually let us do one part right, which is also up in the air currently, it will be about 24. And it's
So
$153,000 reno.
so that's where we kind of get into fights with like wholesalers, where we get in fights with agents, is like we kind of look at it like there's a set level that we're not even going to touch a project if we can't do the safety stuff. Like that's a non-negotiable safety stuff. But a lot of these wholesalers are just trying to put lipstick on the pig. Hey, can we just like paint these walls, even though there's knob and tube wiring behind them, all that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of the gap that we often see, where a lot of these wholesalers will send out, oh, it's only $20,000 to get this thing rent ready, when we're more like, it's like $60,000 because, of 90 issues that, yes, it's not going to stop somebody from renting it, but it is going to stop us from being able to sleep at night if we did the rehab on it.
So the thing to add on to that happens though is that their mentality as a wholesaler gets reinforced because there's always somebody out there that's going to buy it and do a little less on the rehab, be a little more optimistic on ARV, and they go, well, it sold at this much, you guys missed out. It's like, no, well, we didn't because of all these other things that we saved ourselves the headache on. So
And
it,
I have 2 points.
Are you
to
talking
that
about our
too.
bro?
Oh my gosh, if you yeah, I'm also finding that they like to, yeah, whatever. Yeah, wholesalers are sharks. I'll go back to what Nick said to me. One of the first things he ever said to me when I was working with them is that's what he said. And yeah, they are. But to 2 other points to that, kind of encompassing what Brett was saying, and I might have lost my train of thought for the second. But when we go in to do these safety things, and like especially the electricity and things like that, the reason why we're so stuck on that is like you can look at Paul's house, for example. Like Paul's a contractor and his wife kept going down to do the laundry and she kept saying she was getting shocked by the dryer and he's going, okay, you're fine. Like we're being so dramatic. And then his dryer caught on fire. And it was bad. Like the outlet was not put in correct. This is Nick's.
Paul didn't do the wiring in this
Paul
house.
did not
I
do
just
the
want to be
wiring.
very clear.
Nick's ex-contractor did the wiring, and this is when he started to go bad, right? And like we have this saying that all contractors go bad eventually. Well, this guy was starting to go bad. And then, thankfully, Paul is a contractor, so he sat there and went, okay, when she comes up and tells me that for the 4th time, maybe I should go look at it. And then he does one thing and it catches on fire and he's like, oh, well, this whole thing sucks. And then he goes and does the same thing with his furnace 2 weeks later. His furnace went out a couple of weeks ago. He didn't think anything of it, but he was like, oh, why isn't this working? He goes on and the inside of it's on fire. So like, those are why we're not going to touch that, because to us, someone living in that house a year later, if something like this happens to them, like, how are you going to put your head down at night? Like I don't know.
So here's what I will say about this particular contractor. I don't, do I want to kill him? Yes. I think that this is one of those things that, one of those scenarios where a contractor thinks he's an electrician or thinks he's a plumber. And didn't do right by the house by calling the proper people. Right. So just because you have a GC, that doesn't mean that they're going to call a licensed plumber or a licensed electrician. Most of the time they'll try to do it themselves, because anybody can put black to black, red to red, and white to white. But if they don't, if they can't do the math of, hey, this resistor, this wire's not big enough for this resistor, they're not going to know that, and I think this is probably one of the cases in which happened to me, but it happens a lot with all the other houses. These guys go out and it's one contractor and he's got three guys and he's got and the guys, the three guys are the painters, the plumbers, the electricians, and you're just not getting licensed people on the job.
True. We're just glad
Yeah, a
you're
lot of contractors opt to not bring in subs when they really should. In a lot of areas, to be clear, like Hamilton County, which I find this absolutely bananas. Paul, like, yeah, I know it's plumbers. Do you need to be an electrician to do electrical work here? Yeah, so for whatever reason, like it's different by different counties. But here in Hamilton County, which actually Paul, the house Paul was talking about here, is in Hamilton County, you don't need to be an electrician. So this guy was totally qualified to do this work based on Hamilton County, clearly was not qualified to do this work. And so having not having the self-awareness to do that, I think was a huge issue there.
And they'll take shortcuts by not bringing in the subs to save money so they can make more money off of it too. That's really what it comes down to. So so you see a lot of that stuff out there where they're not necessarily terrible contractors. I think their ethics are a little messed up when it comes to putting, some of these houses together.
Have you guys seen a lot of churn with the have you guys seen like any contractors recently? If every contractor has a time limit, have you been seeing some contractors go in and out and you have to like kind of scale back the jobs you give them and scale up?
Hopefully we
All
don't
right.
ever see Paul's time
Lauren,
limit.
put your head down. So yeah, I mean, Paul's been absolutely terrible. I've been working with him for 2 years now, and just god damn, man, he's way past his expiration date, dude. That guy smells. No. So realistically, yeah, Andrew, we do have we got a couple contractors who we've liked and we've helped grow, and they've disappointed us recently. And so what's funny is we have to kind of reel them back, and we're doing what we can to rehabilitate them. I actually think that the reason a lot of these contractors end up failing isn't because they're bad people, isn't because they have bad intentions for the people they're working with. It's that they get in over their skis. This is a really hard business. I had no idea how hard it was until we got into it. And now I manage it on a day-to-day basis. And it makes like, dude, I've got extra grays up here. It's hard. It's a capital intensive business, and investors are super, super hard to work with. Like even the best investors, even the two of you guys who we've worked with, even the best investors, there are challenges there that don't exist on the retail side. And so I totally get why a lot of these guys end up getting out over their skis and failing. So yes, we do have a couple who we're attempting to rehabilitate. And if we can't rehabilitate them, then we won't use them in the future. And so yes, 100%. We have consistent turnover. Hey, Brett, get your camera back on. What is the thing that I always say now, whenever a contractor does something really well for us or really good for us, the good price now.
You even got Paul saying it. dot, for now.
Yeah. Like literally, I can't get Paul to say any compliment about any of our contractors anymore. He's like, they're good for now.
And what is that's really insightful. I guess what is like the biggest thing that when they get ahead over their skis, like what is the biggest thing that they mess up? Is it that they like overschedule?
money.
Oh,
No,
It's
no.
money.
you don't manage your cash flow well, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, we do. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
decided, the biggest thing, and it becomes, it puts as if the construction part wasn't hard enough. We all decided to become your safe for your money. So that way the money comes to us and then we divvy it out as the work is going. So you're not sending that money out to the contractor. You're sending it to us, obviously, and then we're going to go out and hey, we can't give you that money yet because this is not ready. We're not here yet.
So yeah, to
and
that
I think,
end.
yeah, I think when Nick and I have some meetings out and so forth, there's that part of the safety net that we offer, everybody is missed a lot. That part alone is a lot of value to you guys, because we're not gonna run with your money, you know? So we'll dip into our own pockets before we let you fail if it's our fault. But that adds a
We've
lot.
done it recently.
Oh my
Yes, we
God.
have.
And
Yeah.
and to be fair, like in a lot of those situations, it's good that there's a team of us there because, you know, then we can play good cop, bad cop, you know, like one of the
Oh,
contractors.
we traded off.
Yeah, we trade off. Like one of the contractors absolutely hates my guts. Wants nothing to do with me. Literally tells Paul on a daily basis, what do I have to do to not have to deal with Lord anymore? And Paul's like, that's just not gonna happen. She's not going anywhere. Whereas like another contractor, anytime Paul gets mad at him, he runs straight to me and is like, Lauren, can I talk to you on the phone? And we have a little feeling session. So like that's the great thing about because here's the thing that we've noticed with contractors is as they scale up, they also scale their standard of living. And they just don't have that money sense to realize that they can't do that. They can't pay themselves until the end. They can't do those sort of things. And that's a big part of why we started this business. Also, typically, what we've seen is that it's a very much a family business. And so they usually have people that are not qualified handling their books, that are just have other jobs, have other roles in their family, and they're not, you know, they just don't have the ability. So I am constantly, you know, thankfully we have the systems in place to do it, but I am constantly saying like, no, that's not the correct balance. This is what I'm sending you today. This is right. And then here's the X amount of, you know, details to say that, because they just don't have that. And then, you know, once you get into deep trouble with that kind of stuff, you can see how someone can spiral. And then they try
On
and
top
cut.
of that,
That's right.
yeah, on top of that, so I mean, all the things everyone has said here are contributing factors. Money, though, Andrew, it's not even close. Like money is the biggest problem. Some of them grow too fast; they can't keep up with the quality. That's a piece of it. I don't like now that I've dug in and I've seen it a couple of times. We actually have another client who we're working with who I think if you asked him what the problem was, he would say that this contractor grew too fast. Guys, I'm talking about Anderson. Don't say names. Um, Anderson location. And so if you ask him, no, not thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm unhappy about it. The he would say that the contractor grew too fast and got in over their skis. I think this contractor took the money and was borrowing money from one job to do another. And that becomes a really big issue as they begin paying themselves more. They pay themselves first. They're not good at the sales cycle. They don't have a funnel of deals. So, hey, when when they're thin for a little bit, then they get a job, they pay themselves first versus doing the job first and then paying themselves at the end, which is the correct way of doing a project like this. Then they start having to borrow from one job to pay for the other job. It becomes an absolute disaster. And so that tends to be what I see happen. And then once you start that spiral, you're really screwed. And they don't fundamentally understand the difference between fixed costs and variable costs and all of those things. They make mistakes on their projects, and you have to leave yourself a lot of fat on these projects because you're going to screw up. There hasn't been a single job since Paul has started working for me 2 years ago. There hasn't been a single job that he has quoted properly. And I say that like with all the respect in the world. I think he does it better than anybody else out there in the business. But there hasn't been a single job he's gotten it 100% right. And so if you're not building in fat, if you're paying yourself first and you're taking the money out of the project before you ever get into it, you don't have the fat to deal with those particular situations when something 100% comes up in every project. 99% of the time, we try to not bring it up with the client. And I think good contractors on small stuff never bring it up with the client because it's like, hey, like we got it. Like we built it in there. We're good to go. Those contractors that kind of get in over their skis, they have to come change order you out the wazoo. They've got to deal, borrow to make it happen. So I've just gone on a diatribe. Did I miss anything there, guys?
No, I will add this, if a scope, if a scope is too good to be true, it probably is. And in this particular situation, I looked at the scope and there is no way that all of those things could have gotten done for that amount of money. My feelings as a contractor is they had they had every intentions of taking off. I mean, I don't have any other good feeling about that with those numbers. Because you couldn't do half of the stuff on that job with those numbers.
And we also noticed that they put like install new, and when Paul went to walk the property, it was all used things.
So
Yeah,
if
this
it's
one,
too
this
true,
one's so sad.
yeah, it was a tough call for me today, Nick, because I felt bad. I felt terrible. But yeah, if it's too good to be true, guys, it usually is, you know. So
Got
and
it.
contractor may be good, but just wait for the change orders because they're coming.
Got it. Thanks for sharing. That was very insightful. Oh, so I guess on that job, Paul, so, I guess like what would happen to that contractor? Is that contractor gone, or like, would
Oh,
you, I mean, that story Paul was talking about, I guess like are they gone, or are they like scaling back with them?
oh no, the contractor took off. Yeah, so the contractor took off in that situation, left 2 properties, took off with about what 70% of the money, but did about 10% of the job, but about 8% of that 10% needs to be redone because they didn't finish it and you can't get those materials again. So really was left with like a 4% complete job, but had paid out 60 to 70% of it. So there's a couple of options here, but either of them kind of suck. At this point, it's like one of those you just kind of got burned. They could sell the properties and just try and break even or come in with a bit of a loss. They can rehab the properties, but then it depends on where they are, and if the ARV supports that. And then in terms of getting their money back, you have to look at legal fees then. Like they can try their hardest. They have the proof there, but the contractor can disappear. What are you gonna do? Second, the contractor, can it just you're gonna pay as much money in legal fees and like tracking them down and serving them papers and doing all that stuff that you have to decide the numbers and whether or not they're worth it. We don't know what his decision is going to be yet. He's taking the weekend to dive deep into the numbers and see what happens and what doesn't happen, and it just sucks. It's one of those situations where you really have to protect yourself.
Oh, and when you say he, this is the investor?
The client, yeah, the investor, yeah.
Oh wow. So and was this done through off leash, or like
No, no,
how?
no, 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 no.
Listen,
We would have, we would have.
there's no hiding for me. I know where they live. I so there's no hiding here.
No,
These
this
these are these are guys that go on Facebook and get picked up by some of the investors. You know,
Well, and can we touch on that real quick? It's
yeah,
really easy to become a contractor here in Indianapolis.
it is.
It's too easy. Honestly, I think it's too easy to become an agent here in really the entire country. So it's a very low barrier to entry, and there's not a whole lot of saying, like quality that is required. So like somebody saying that they're a contractor, the same as Paul, they're right from a qualifications perspective, from a certifications perspective, they're right. And so with that in mind, like it's really it's ridiculously easy for these people to get screwed over because somebody can claim that they have the same certifications Paul does. Now, Paul's also a master carpenter. He's got 20 plus years of experience. He's got a name that he wants to protect. There's something there, but it is so easy for one of these guys that's really a handyman in the grand scheme of things from a skill standpoint to go and become a contractor. I want you to know I've personally been screwed for well into the tens of thousands of dollars by one of these handymen before. Paul can attest to it. He was part of that lawsuit. He helped me through that lawsuit situation.
So
Thank you.
here's what I will tell you. And it makes me angry because I spent a lot of time. In order for me to get my license, a long time ago, we won't talk about how long. I had to sit down and I literally studied for a month to answer 100, 100 questions. I can only miss 2. Now today, you can go pay a fee online and get your license. No test.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Andrew, it looked like you had to hop.
Oh yeah, I
We
needed
don't
to
wanna-
hop. Thank you all so much. Thanks Lauren for
Yeah.
the land survey. Sounds like Paul will be starting on it soon. I'm just getting
Paul,
back
get to work,
into it.
buddy. Stop being so
just
lazy.
getting back, yeah, just getting
I
back
know.
into it. So, we'll reach out to everyone and you will be
Perfect.
hearing from all of you a lot soon.
Sounds
Yes,
good, man.
for
Hey, have
sure.
a good one.
Good
Oh
one.
my
Bobby,
God.
before we hop, anything we can do to help you out in the short term?
I'm just curious Paul's thoughts because he walked Georgiana the other day when the tenants finally left.
Ooh,
Man, it's definitely 70s.
Yep.
It's definitely we're about to change that for you though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they left some stuff behind. We're gonna have to clean it up. But for the most part, it's better than most that we've seen.
Yeah.
When the tenants move, so we'll get you all cleaned up. And we're gonna get started this weekend and getting the demo done, getting those beautiful walls down, and I hope to God that only 2 coats of primer takes all that color off that ceiling and those walls.
so Bobby, what
Oh.
I'll tell you is I did not realize just how many coats of paint it can take to cover stuff. Like that has been there's a house we're working on right now actually for an agent and investor. And my God, how many coats of paint have we put on that, Paul?
Damn.
7 coats of paint. Damn. Okay, I didn't even realize it was that many.
Yeah, that is pretty wild.
So let's hope it's
Really
not that
gross
many
when
to
you
cover
think
up that
about
Let's
it.
ceiling.
hope.
Yeah. Perfect. Bobby, dude, have a good weekend. Go spoil that 6-month-old. I'm gonna go take my 9-month out to the Wild here this weekend.
All right. And what's Lauren doing with hers?
Surviving? No, good question. We haven't figured that out yet. We're gonna go with the flow this weekend. Oh, actually, sorry, Bobby, not that you want to know this, but she's weaning today. Today's her last day that she was allowed to have breast milk. So that's what we will be doing all weekend because she's gonna lose her mind.
Okay.
Probably.
I am so glad I don't have to talk to Lauren for the next couple days.
I'm gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so bad. Yeah, poor Dean. Send Dean some alcohol, some love, because he's about to get, I don't know what hormones do to you after 28 months of breastfeeding, but I can imagine it's not gonna be pleasant. So
No.
That poor bastard.
we're cold turkeying it. So we'll see. That is not funny, Brett.
Right here.
He just turns
It's been
on his
0
camera
days.
to laugh.
Just to laugh.
0 days.
All the love.
Dean,
Lauren.
do not even come in here. Yeah, he's like, he's like, I can hear it. Yeah, he's
Dean,
gonna.
what's your phone number, buddy? I'm gonna send you some alcohol.
Who is that?
All right.
Where is that?
I will talk to you
Oh,
guys
it's
all later.
Lena.
Have a good
Okay.
one.
All right.
Bye.
Later.
Bye, guys.